We're live.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts, but tonight we are haunting the New York neighborhood once again as we hand over what this film is all about to our New York neighbor, Forrest. Why don't you tell us what this film is all about, especially since it's a birthday pick.
Boston.
Birthday pick set in my own backyard. We're going to be discussing 1989's Ghostbusters 2, directed by Ivan Reitman. Plot is it's 5 years after the original. The Ghostbusters got stiffed on after taking out Gozer the Gozerian. It turns out the Ghostbusters got stiffed on the bill by some bureaucratic bookworm and were forced out of business. But with the discovery of a massive river of pink slime and a resurgence in supernatural activity, the Ghostbusters once again strap on their proton packs. So let's go around and do our first impressions. Starting to my left, Jake. First impressions. This is your first time seeing Ghostbusters 2, and I'm just gonna be honest. Your avatar kind of bothers me.
As it might.
Excellent. Apologize for nothing.
No, it's okay. You don't have to change it. You don't have to change. I was just being honest. It's a New York thing.
Did he leave?
Oh, he got booted by accident, looks like.
Oh, okay. I hope I didn't.
He'll be back.
Damn, Forrest. Come on now.
All right. In that case, over to you, Dave. First impressions.
Well, this is definitely not a first-time watch for me, and I definitely remember this film a lot more than I do the first one. Maybe because I've seen it a lot more. Oh, Jake is backstage. I
never went anywhere. I don't know what that was about.
There's something about paintings that. Oh,
okay. Now Brandon's gone.
Oh, disappearing acts, both of you.
I might be next.
Is that what's called ghosting? Anyways, but I have a fairly good vibe about this film because it definitely has more comedic effort in it. I love every moment that Bill Murray has with the child. I mean, that is just, spot on, good friendly humor. I mean, he relates to him so well because he's a child himself. But
pretty much.
And I love the fact that you kind of get a flubber, a kind of a flubber movie with this slime that we have here in this film. Because they find out that it dances around and reacts to human emotion and all that jazz. So, but I also think Sigourney Weaver was better looking in this film, and specifically to Oscar.
Okay, I'll take her in either one.
But
or Alien.
I really enjoy this particular film because where the first one was about the Ghostbusters actually saving New York, this one was more about the city of New York saving the city in the end.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I enjoy this movie, this particular film so much. But I love the performances all around. I love there's just something I love about the damn painting, how menacing it is.
It's a creepy painting.
Yes,
Very much so.
not exactly Dorian Gray, but
Not Gainsborough's Blue
it's
Boy.
got its own magical charm.
He's Vigo.
Yes, he's legal. Yes.
Fun thing in the Ghostbusters video game, the painting of Vigo is in the firehouse, and you can talk to it. Like, it will say stuff to you.
Yep, and it's once again voiced by Max von Sydow. Over to you, Jake. First impressions.
Well, this was not a first time watch. I did not exactly have nearly the history with this one that I did with the other one. To me, this was always like the other movie. You know, there were some movies where I had such, I guess, a high expectation based on the first film that I just never embraced the sequels quite the same way, and this was one of them. This is probably the third time I've seen this one, if I had to guess. And it's been several years. I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw the second movie. I don't dislike it. It's actually... It does have a lot of good humor to it. It has some great one-liners, some great moments, you know. Peter McNichol's over-the-top Carpathian is pretty fun. I thought he had some great one-liner moments, and just of course he was downright creepy in his pursuit of Dana Barrett and what have you, but in a harmless way, much like Lewis was in the first movie.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like...
It got kind of sinister when he actually became like a servant ghost.
Yes, once he became Renfeld to Vigo, and yes,
loving it.
And that painting, yes, that is a creepy painting. I will admit, it looks like a dude you wouldn't want to mess with.
I mean, he was one of Hans Gruber's goons in Die Hard, so...
Right. And apparently they did decide to mess with him by having Max von Sydow voice the role without telling him, and he did not take kindly to that, from what I hear.
Yeah, apparently he Vigo's first scene alive. Once he heard that voice, he walked out of the theater.
Yeah. Okay, we got it. Okay.
Forrest, I figure you should read that.
Yeah, I know Andrew. I know Andrew. He's one of he's apparently he's one of our listeners.
All right.
And a friend.
Hello.
Anyway, so over to you, Dustin. For first impressions.
I'm not actually sure when I first saw this. It was definitely a long time ago, and I think I almost like the second one more. Well, during our favorite scenes and breakdown of the first Ghostbusters, I mentioned that my favorite thing about Ghostbusters is them just kind of going out and like doing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like the big like apocalyptic stakes thing. And we get a lot of that in this movie, so I think I almost like this movie more than the first one for that reason. I have no clue when I first saw it, because it was quite a while ago, but I like this movie, from what I can tell, more than pretty much everybody who's ever talked about it.
It seems like I would say it seems like around the time the 2016 movie was coming out, a lot of critics came out of the woodwork to trash this one.
A lot of people did not like this movie, and to this day, people don't like this movie.
I really don't understand that, though. I mean,
like I said, I didn't. Again, I guess I didn't quite get to that part on mine. Again, a lot of it is expectations. This one, the first film came out, and from what I understand, they were kind of surprised
That
that
did
it
so
became
well.
such a huge hit with kids, because they weren't really aiming for that. But this one, they definitely aimed for a younger
Part of
audience.
the cartoon.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. And that, again, that doesn't necessarily make a bad film, not by any means, but it does mean that certain parts of it, I think, were toned down or may have been played a little broader than they might have been played.
Like
And
this one, there's
so,
like, I mean, in this one, there's a lot less cursing and smoking.
right, a lot less smoking. And there's so that's one big element of it, is that it was kind of like what we talked about with Ninja Turtles 2, was toned down a little bit to make it more family friendly and whatever, and that can work, but it does make for a different movie. And I think for me, I agree, Dustin. I agree with your point that I like the individual, the more day to day stuff. I really like that, but I also kind of felt like the big bad didn't feel like as big of a bad, and that kind of seemed like a letdown for it, because that's like against the rules of a sequel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, there was a little bit of a more focused build up there. I could agree with that.
So comments, Ghostbusters 1 has more street level paranormal activity before the big ending. Ghostbusters 2 is definitely more focused build up to the end. There you go.
It's got a bigger scale, I think, doesn't it? Like, because the ghosts that come out of the woodwork for this big villain are kind of from everywhere.
That is true.
And over to you, Tammy. First impressions.
Well, this was not the first time I saw it either. I like the painting. I like the bad guy. But see, my big thing is I love anything that has to do with Dracula, vampires, the Indian or Carpathian, you know. I like him. I think I like the ghosts in some ways better on this one. Like when you get to the scene in the courtroom with the judge.
Oh, the Galore brothers.
Yeah, that I thought was really that was like really cool. I do think it is more family, a little bit more family orientated than the first one. But I do like David touched upon, that it isn't just the Ghostbusters saving New York, it's everybody saving New York, which I thought was good. It's kind of a nice, I thought that was a pretty cool ending. I thought that everybody coming together like that was good. I mean, I liked both movies. Like,
when did you first see Ghostbusters 2? Do you remember?
Probably not long after it came out, because I was late teens at the time, so that was the thing to go do, was to go watch the movies when they came out. So, and at that time you could actually probably afford to, not like nowadays. It didn't take your whole paycheck if you were working to go see a movie. So
I have a friend who went to the theater, so I got to see my last movie totally free.
Nice.
Just as a comment to the commenter, just real quick. The reason why there's a delay is that I have to see the comment go through, and then if I post it up on there, I click on it. That's why. Did we cover? Did we cover Little? Yeah, we covered Little Shop of Horrors, didn't we, Dave?
Yeah, we covered both of them. I think we covered both of them. The original we covered on the Delusions of Grandeur channel, and then we covered the remake on this channel. So
So yeah, just type in on their Inside Movies Galore, Little Shop of Horrors. You should
You should
definitely find
see
it.
a playlist on our channel, so definitely go check that out.
Yeah,
Sorry for
listen,
interrupting. I just wanted to make sure that I addressed the question.
yeah, listen to the
I didn't
like
want you to
classic
think
one
I
while
was
you're there
ignoring you.
too. I think that's our
Okay.
best one because it's got like 1 trillion views.
I have
Mhm.
one more comment I wanted to make.
Okay.
Yes, go for it.
There's a lot of movies that don't have very good sequels. So that's why I thought this one actually did. There's very few out there, like the Lethal Weapon movies. I think all of them are good. But you have other movies that come out, and the second one comes out, and it's like, well, what the hell is that? You know, at least I thought this one was still good, and it still got your attention, and you know, it wasn't like your normal. Oh, there's a sequel. Oh, okay. Well, we'll check this out. It was actually entertaining.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, and thank you, Tammy, and Brandon. First impressions.
Well, actually, this one's a slight bit different from the original Ghostbusters experience I had, because with the original Ghostbusters experience, I was like 4 when it came out. But I was much more primed for this one when it came out in theaters, and I did see this one in theaters, and I did remember it, and I was psyched because I'd seen the first one, so I was like really, really happy to finally go and see this one. And as a kid, I loved this film, which is why I think a lot of people might have more of a difficulty with it, is because they didn't see it necessarily as a child, or they
Right.
saw the first movie when they were younger and then they were older when they saw the second movie, when it kind of skews a little bit less mature as you go. Which, in my opinion, is it doesn't work as well. But since I was really young, of course, it felt good to me. And now, as Dane would say, now the nostalgia factor is in play, so I don't have to worry about it being bad for me ever. So that's the fun part of it. I always enjoyed it. I thought it was one that could market more toys, which I think was part of the
Hmm.
reasoning too.
Yep. My
I thought it had some really good spots, and it is still probably my favorite of the two, even though I'd hate to admit it. I think the first one's a more solid movie, but I think the
Mhm.
one I get the kick out of the most is always the second one.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that this one has a lot of replay value, even though I think the first is definitely a solid um,
The first is definitely a
film to
better
portray
movie.
them. It's got a more darker feel to it too. It's definitely a product of its time, but this one, not now they expect you to already know the Ghostbusters.
Hmm.
So uh, this is them out of a job and ready for action.
I want He-Man.
Man, that
Yeah.
initial scene is rough. It's like,
Speaking about birthdays, Forrest, would you like them to show up to your birthday party?
I'd probably want He-Man. I'd probably want He-Man. Although ironically, like no, I feel like by '89. I mean, I think by 1989, no, He-Man had lost in real life. He-Man had lost popularity to the Ghostbusters, in the
Right.
toy aisles and on Saturday mornings. But anyway, my first impressions. So I vaguely remember watching this on cable like as a toddler when I was like 2 or 3 years old because I was too young to see it in theaters. Oh, I would love if there's a movie theater out there that's playing it. I will so be there for it. Just so I could say just so I could say I've seen all of them in theaters because I tend to be a completist like that. Um, but anyway, but I remember the first time I really remember watching it was when it had its network television premiere on ABC about back in 1994 when I was 6 years old. And at that point, I had already watched the first movie. I had already seen the first movie multiple times by that point. And this one, I'd be, also, pretty much, I was in that phase where I would eat up anything Ghostbusters. So immediately, I was a fan. I was a fan, and I definitely think. And as I've gotten older, I noticed it is kind of a beat by beat carbon copy of the original, but there's still that nostalgia factor to it. I feel the same way about Home Alone 2, where it's a rehash of the first movie, but it's still
Yeah.
fun.
I will say that I did get a Blob vibe from this movie. Seeing it again.
Mhm.
Especially when the characters ran out of the theater later on.
Oh yeah, that screening of Cannibal Girls, which was also directed by Ivan Reitman,
Right.
and
the
there were-
Avocado Jungle of Death.
There were a
something
few. There were a few fun family connections here. Like
Yep.
we were joking about He-Man.
Jason
but
Reitman.
that was Jason Reitman, who, of course, is the director of the upcoming Ghostbusters Afterlife. And
Yep.
his sister Catherine is the one that one of my favorite moments in this movie is they're showing the effect of like mood, like they're
Mood
studying
sign?
mood or whatever.
The
And,
mood
and
sign.
this little girl has got the little girl
Puppy.
who has the puppy is Catherine Reitman.
Oh,
And
I
I
know
just
it.
I love Egon's line. Let's see what happens when we
When we
take
try
the
to take
puppy away.
Yes.
But I think it's. But anyway, I think it's a funny. I think it's still a fun movie in its own right. But I would say Peter McNicholas Janosch he seals the deal for me on this. And
Everything you are doing is bad. I want you to know this.
No one makes it. Yes, Vigo.
It's hard not to just quote that line because it's so crazy. Like it just, I mean, I know it makes sense in context, but it just sounds nuts.
Yeah. I mean, he was the unsung.
Right.
I feel like he was the unsung hero of this movie.
Right.
And and also I've got the Ghostbusters 2 logo as my avatar. I have it I'm actually wearing a Ghostbusters 2 T-shirt right now. I mean, objectively, the first movie is better. Here's my take on because I've got quite a bit of Ghostbusters 2 merch because anyone can wear the original Ghostbusters logo. It takes a dedicated maniac to sport the second movie logo.
Right.
When the game originally came out in 2009, when you pre-ordered it from GameStop, you got a T-shirt, and I still have that shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll remind you to take a picture of it, and I'll send that to you. It's basically just the art from the cover of the game, but it's actually a pretty good shirt. Back when pre-order bonuses were actually like physical items that were worth having.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other Ghostbusters 2 stuff I have. Like, I think I actually have the novelization somewhere.
Oh, I actually have I have the comic book adaptation of Ghostbusters 2, and so they didn't get the likeness rights to the actors, so they just used the designs from the cartoon. And
That's pretty funny.
And slap the Ghostbusters 2 logos on the sleeves.
I remember I had Ghostbusters cereal, like the original version of it, and it came with like a vinyl
I think I
record,
remember that.
It came with like a 7-inch square vinyl record that was like really flimsy.
Yeah.
I think it had the Ghostbusters 2 theme on it. I'm not actually sure though. I haven't seen it in like 24 years.
I also do have the. I mentioned this on the first half, but I have the Game Boy version of I have the Game Boy. I have the video game adaptations of Ghostbusters 2 for Game Boy and NES. The NES game, which is New Ghostbusters 2. It was a foreign release. It is the only Ghostbusters game where you can play as Louis Tully.
That's cool. Yeah, that was the I think the worst part about the 2009 video game, like because it was like a huge celebration of Ghostbusters and like just everything in that world, and then like Lewis's desk in the firehouse just has like out sick because Rick Moranis wouldn't like do anything for it.
Yeah.
Ah,
Hmm.
very disappointing.
Hmm.
Anyway, so let's get to the story. So
Mhm.
Dana Barrett is coming home with her newborn son Oscar. When all of a sudden Oscar's stroller goes barreling down the street and into the middle of busy traffic.
Mhm.
She does roll through the slime.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
legal.
Bit of a sissy, isn't he?
A little bit of a flamer.
Not sure if that's an appropriate term. I haven't heard that in a long time.
Right.
But anyway, so Dana goes to Egon about what happened, and offers to bring Ray in on this investigation.
Mhm.
While Ray and Winston are trying to milk what last bit of notoriety they have as bit of fame they have as Ghostbusters, but it's not very successful. And the kids they try to entertain kids at a birthday party, but the kids don't care.
Mhm.
As we've come to find out that the Ghostbusters have gone out of business since they were sued for all the damage they incurred from their battle with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and were subsequently legally barred from continuing their business. Meanwhile, Peter Venkman has become the host of a trashy daytime talk show.
And we meet our boy Kevin Dunn from last week's movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where he thought the world would end on New Year's Eve of that year, while his other guest Elaine says that the world would end on February 14th in the year 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Nice try, lady.
Valentine's
Well, Dustin, to hear you tell it, the world of the Ghostbusters came perilously close to ending in 2016. So maybe she was right
there you
after
go.
all.
Although I just want to take a quick moment and just where all of us were on Valentine's Day 2016. I mean, me personally, I was at a hockey game that night, and the world did not
Couldn't
end.
tell you.
Yep.
I don't know what I was doing. That was when I used to be like fit and would go out to bars.
Actually, I remember I was watching a hockey game, and then I went to Barcade where I played the Ghostbusters arcade game.
I went. Actually, it's probably some sort of dating thing with Kim. I don't know.
Okay.
We were married at the time, but I can't remember what we were doing.
Yeah, but yeah, this was actually when we were having our Days of Future Past series. This was one movie that I was considering nominating because of this. But anyway, she mentions that she learned this information from an alien that she encountered at the Paramus Holiday Inn.
Right.
But after recording the show, Peter sees the mayor when he's stopped by the mayor's assistant, who tells Peter to back off.
Who's Kurt Fuller, who, much like William Atherton, has made a career of playing assholes and jerks.
Yep, his character in No Holds Barred.
His character is just slimy guy. That's just
Yeah.
it.
And
That's what
Ironically, in a deleted scene, his character gets swallowed by some slime.
neat.
So after this, well, actually, Peter mentions to Hardemeyer that he was going to see the mayor about getting getting the favor returned for what happened as Ghostbusters, but and Hardemeyer tells him to stay away since the mayor is running for governor and doesn't want last thing he needs is to be associated with two-bit publicity hounds and frauds.
Mm-hmm.
As he sees the Ghostbusters.
Meanwhile, Dana is back in town from a divorce.
Well, the most unrealistic thing about Ghostbusters 2 is that people are still skeptical of ghosts. It's like everyone saw it. It was on the news. It was very obviously real.
Well, as the last couple of years have shown, the things that everyone sees can vary from person to person.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be skeptics.
Yeah.
I think this would be too much for even those people. Like
we should hope. We should hope.
Some ectoplasmic slime underneath.
I mean, if this movie was set now in the YouTube age, there would be like all sorts of conspiracy theory videos and whatnot about all the paranormal phenomena in that universe.
I guess we'll get to see when Afterlife comes out. I bet that's a story thing.
But we've come to find that Ray is running an occult bookstore, so him and Egon are discussing events similar to what happened with Baby Oscar when Peter comes in to pick up a book he ordered and finds out that they're helping out Dana. Which because Dana had previously had told Egon she didn't want Peter involved at all.
Well, we have that whole baby carriage running away scene where you actually see the baby carriage wheels rolls through some slime, and then while she's speaking to a doorman, the carriage just kind of rolls off, and then you see a little bit of New York taxi cab madness.
So the after going to Dana's apartment and checking up on and doing a checkup on Oscar, they go to where the carriage stopped, and find that there's a heavy amount of psychokinetic activity, and take it upon themselves to dig a hole. Which gets them in trouble with the police, as it causes a major.
Well, generally, if you block off a section of a busy road and take a jackhammer to the that's going to alert some. That's going to send up some red flags.
If it's anything like Richmond, nobody's going to notice because we always have road work going on.
Yeah, and doesn't I think doesn't one of them, maybe Ray, I think, makes
Peter.
the comment of Peter, of like. There's so many holes.
It's the same here in Milwaukee. I swear they just seem to set cones up and go work on one specific spot, and then it's there for 7 months till they get around to doing it. You know, it's like, what kind of work are you really doing, guys? Are you just all taking our lunch break?
I mean, there's so many holes in First Avenue that they didn't think anyone would notice.
The trial, like when Peter's just telling jokes, and it's actually working on the jury too.
They dig this hole and find a river of pink slime, and they're able to grab a sample of it right before Ray accidentally causes the power to go out in the city. Meanwhile, while this is going on, Dana's boss at the art museum, Dr. Janosch Poha, played by Peter McNichol, is possessed by the spirit of Vigo the Carpathian, who's actually his spirit possesses a self portrait of him, a self portrait.
And there's something that Vigo
haunted painting
actually says that I know that Tammy really likes. Do you have that phrase written down, Tammy?
Yeah, when they were investigating who he was, they came across that he had said, "Death is but a door, time is but a window. I will be
I'll
back."
be back.
Mm-hmm. I'll be back.
And it just sounds kind of Shakespearean stage play ish to me. But then all the things that Egon and Ray had found out about him,
Right.
while they were like digging up information on him, I just loved all the different names that they called him. You know,
Vigo the Unholy, Vigo the Despised, Vigo the
Vigo the Torturer was one of them, I think, too, right?
He didn't die of old age either. He was poisoned, stabbed, shot, hung, stretched, disemboweled, drawn.
That's a
I wanted to be really sure.
Shout out. That's a shout out to Rasputin, essentially.
Yes, he was supposedly based on a mixture of Vlad the Impaler and Grigory Rasputin, and I could see that.
And Rasputin was like, they made sure that guy was dead.
I'm reminded. I'm reminded of the line. Kill you until you die from it.
Well, that quote that he said he supposedly was already beheaded at the time when that quote came out.
Oh.
The one that I just said?
Yeah.
And didn't they say something about it took a long time for his head to die too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of when you mentioned Rasputin. I'm just thinking of there's this long deep dive I saw on Rasputin, and they were talking about how like his enemies would like. Supposedly, Rasputin had a very large dick, and like his enemies would somehow turn that into something to make fun of him for. And like, I'm just remembering the guys on that show like very sarcastically. It's like, oh no, he's. Well, there was descriptions of like what he would do with it, like how he was.
His girlfriend actually cut it off and carried it with her after.
Oh, lovely!
So,
and it's like, and they were like, "Oh, what terrible slanderous lies, by his enemies. How will he recover from this?" Or something like that.
It could be worse. Napoleon's has been in a museum.
Oh, that reminds me of a Milwaukee Irish singer here in Milwaukee who sings about Napoleon's penis.
Well, everyone needs a hobby.
Pat McCurdy.
Off the rails already. Good job, guys.
All right.
Hey, at least we get some interesting topics on that.
Yes.
I'm just still laughing at that. What terrible slanderous lies about his enormous dick.
All right. So the Ghostbusters are arrested and taken to court for the damage caused. And in the middle of this trial. The judge Wexler gets so heated with the Ghostbusters that he causes the sample of pink slime to bubble and burst, releasing the ghosts of two men he executed. He ordered executed the Scolari brothers, who start wreaking havoc on the courtroom.
And for some reason, I was getting some Heckle and Jekyll vibes from them from A Christmas Carol. But other than that, I could just hear them singing, "We're Marley and Marley." Whoa.
Or you mean Statler? I think you mean Statler and Waldorf.
You kind of
not
look
Heckle
like
and Jekyll.
Right.
But
I think I will say in the judge's defense.
Oh dear.
Louis Tully was clearly incompetent as a trial lawyer, and I can imagine any judge would have been frustrated by that.
I just remember like when Lewis gives his testimony. One time I turned into a dog, and they
They
helped
helped me. Thank
and
you.
the judge just stares like,
Yeah.
what?
What?
Well, he does warn them that he's only there really with tax law, not really.
He's not really a lawyer. I mean, actually, not even.
I
Also,
got my
like
law
before
degree
that,
at night school. Oh, we were arrested that night. Good.
before that, he tells the instead of saying ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he's like, ladies and gentlemen of the audience.
Yes.
Oh dear, I missed that somehow. I've seen this movie like 30 times, and I
Right.
don't remember that.
But
It was
and
pretty fun.
and the prosecutor calls Venkman to the stand and well, first he's a bit of a wise ass with the comment about the holes in First Avenue, but explains that it's their job or their calling to deal with things that nobody else wants to know about. And that
besides, there's so many holes in New York City
First Avenue
already.
He puts it. I think he puts it best here. Sometimes sometimes shit happens. Someone has to deal with it, and who are you gonna call?
And everybody like claps.
Standing ovation right there.
Well, the judge is just like, shut up.
And of course, our prosecutor was Janet Margolin, and this was her final film role.
Yeah,
she had
passed away a few years later.
Yeah, she had apparently 3 TV credits afterwards, and then passed away about 4 years later. But
She looks pretty young. How
she died when she was 50.
Yeah, 50.
Yeah,
she was 50. She was like
she
40
did not
something
look
in
old. No.
Yeah, she was in her mid-40s making this movie.
Yeah,
I
She
did
looks
not
like
know
30 in this. Damn.
yeah.
Yeah, she did.
And then, of course, we have Harris Yulin as the judge. He's been in some fun stuff over the years.
Yep, he was in Multiplicity, which was also directed by Ivan Reitman, or was that Ivan Reitman, or was that Harold Ramis? I forget.
They did what?
Multiplicity with Michael Keaton.
Oh, I don't know offhand.
He was the guy. He was the guy who cloned Keaton.
I've never actually seen that. One day I will.
All right.
And incidentally, I misspoke on the previous one. Harold Ramis was not in Analyze This and Analyze That, but he wrote them. But I was thinking Knocked Up. That was
that would make more sense.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Harold Ramis directed Multiplicity. Yeah.
No wonder I didn't remember him from Analyze This or Analyze That. I love those movies.
I'll admit, I never saw either of those.
I don't know why I confused those two. They're not the same movies, but
I like the first one, but I do not like the second one because it's overly silly. But
I mean, they're both pretty silly, to be honest. So I had no problems with the second one. Because
anyway, the judge's outburst released these the ghosts of two criminals that he ordered executed. And he tells the Ghostbusters, he requests the Ghostbusters do something, but they said that until they get their restraining order lifted, actually if they get the restraining order, that if they violate the restraining order, they could be exposing themselves.
Yeah, Venkman's like, you don't want us exposing
we don't want to see you more exposed than your prosecutor here or something like that.
Lewis Tully, my guys are still under judicial mistraining order.
That thing I got from her.
So the judge lifts the restraining order right there on the spot, and the Ghostbusters to get their strap on their equipment and take out the Scoleri and trap the Scoleri, take out the Scoleri brothers after destroying the court, after causing more damage to the courtroom.
Is this where they do that famous line "Do Re Egon"?
That is.
Yes.
So
that was kind of weird. I was confused by that. It's like, is this
it's a send up to Sound of Music, actually.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So they trap the Scoleri brothers. Thus, the Ghostbusters are back in business.
Mm-hmm.
So we see them going around once again going around the city, trapping, catching ghosts, and along the way finding more and more pink slime around the city.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and it's around this time that we get Dana coming, seeing him in the street dancing like the skater or whatever.
Like
that was the first movie.
Yeah, and to me, whenever you see like trailers of movies or whatnot, that's like one of the scenes that they always seem to catch. But basically, it's almost like Bankman hasn't like paid attention to her particular case, and
that was all the first movie.
Yeah. But Venkman is paying attention to her. He has been dropping hints all along, and I think this is around the time they try to do another date, right? Or date.
Well,
that was a little later in the movie.
Oh, okay.
I think they got together after the first film, and then they broke up because Dana references that.
Yeah, that she got married and had Oscar with another guy.
Well, and then you get that little talk that he has with Oscar, and he's like, "Well, I could have been your daddy."
Right.
After a hot dog, you poor man.
Just everything he says to Oscar, just to Oscar, is priceless.
Like for me, it's when he gets when he lets Oscar use a Joe Namath jersey as a diaper.
Right.
Yeah.
I think though, you're right. The interactions between Venkman and Oscar were pretty great. But like in terms of like just pure pricelessness, I was just going through the quotes and I saw this one. This is when they do the date and Tully tags along when Janine is supposedly babysitting. And I just love where he's reading Oscar, or he's reading a storybook.
He's telling Oscar about Snow White.
Yeah. So the 7 little dwarves had a limited partnership in a small mining operation. And one day a beautiful princess came to live with them. And they bartered housekeeping services for room and board, which was a real good deal for them because they didn't have to withhold Social Security or income tax.
You really got what to do.
Yeah. But for the purpose of the story, I think it's okay. He really and then we didn't really talk about in the first movie, the reason he had the party, he explains to his guests, he can write it off as a tax expense.
If he uses his customer.
Yes. But so he does have a good brain for taxes, just not law.
Well, tax law maybe, but yeah.
Right. I don't know. I can't see him arguing much better, even if it was a tax case. Just not. Some people just aren't cut out for the courtroom.
No.
Well, taking out the Scolari brothers puts them back in business, which is great because then they just go right automatically into a montage, which is cool.
Yep.
Yeah,
we need a montage.
Scolari brothers were some scary looking ghosts, even for Ghostbusters. Yep. Like they were nasty.
They have almost a Jim Henson look to them, almost.
Yeah, they did. They were more cartoonish looking compared to the ghost of the first movie.
They look a little bit like the type of ghost you'd see in the cartoon show.
That might have been deliberate because I think the cartoon was like kind of hitting like the peak of its popularity, wasn't it?
I had read that they modeled a lot of this one off of the Janine's look was changed dramatically and supposedly was closer to the
natural look
the cartoon.
Show.
Yeah. And I thought Winston looked completely different. Like I was really?
I mean, he didn't have his mustache in this. He didn't have a mustache in this one.
It's amazing what a mustache can do.
Mustache matinee.
There you go.
So the Ghostbusters. So after this montage, we see the Ghostbusters are experimenting with all the slime sample, they take some of the slime samples they've gathered and talk, and start saying things to it to get it to react.
and they realize that it
Mhm.
reacts to negative energy, and also it also reacts to music. Also,
Mhm.
Loves Jackie Wilson.
Mhm.
You're not sleeping with it, are you, Ray?
Always the quiet one.
Didn't Egon actually confirm that he had?
Yeah, that's why I prompted the line. It's always the quiet one.
it was
Yes.
silent confirmation because they both just gave him a look,
Right.
and Ray kind of quietly looked away, like he was guilty.
Right. Yes.
So they put some of the slime in. They put some of the slime into a toaster, which gets and plays some Jackie Wilson, which triggers it to the toaster to dance.
Mm-hmm.
And so it next we jump to the museum, back to the museum where Dana works.
Yep.
Where Vigo has been smiling at Dana.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But I like what Peter Venkman says about Vita. I have met some dumb blondes in my life.
Oh,
but
that's
you
like-
take
that's-
the Taco Pal.
Actually, that's
Only
more- that's-
Carpathian would you come back to life now and choose New York. Tasty
Yeah.
dick, bonehead.
Oh yeah, that was late. That was in the
That
was
movie,
later.
but yeah.
Yeah, that was
That
At
later.
the very end. What? We are
I think
nowhere near there.
Yeah, I think
That was
but no,
there was a line that he had early on though, which I found kind of
he was
amusing. I
like,
think it was
Carpathian Kitten loss.
yes. He's like, well, you're probably Carpathian kitten loss. He misses this kitty. Well, we'll just
put one by
place
the
one in
castle.
here.
Where's one by the castle?
And Janos runs there. Don't go around altering valuable art, Dr. Vinkman. Yeah, go. Yes,
go.
I
Yeah,
think
the
go.
joyfulness is
The
over.
joyfulness is over. Yes.
Beautiful,
No.
beautiful.
I never
Get
noticed.
me angry.
I never noticed.
Now destroy
the
me.
painting.
Wait,
Destroy me.
hold on,
Destroy
Brandon,
me. Oh.
Wait,
I
Brandon.
I
had
liked
never
that. That
noticed
was
the
fun.
painting before
Mhm.
winking and smirking at her.
Yeah.
And it took me out. I'll admit that took me out of it a little bit because that was like, okay, that's like a million times out of character for that for the villain of the movie, doing that little wink and smirk. That doesn't. It felt
I
silly.
mean,
Mhm.
I
A little bit too silly for this movie.
I mean, it's kind of silly, but it's like, hey, I'm gonna be possessing your child soon. So
I thought it was more of a frown and frowning at her every time she
Oh, no, it was
she was
definitely a
near.
smirk. There was no doubt. It was a smirk. That Blu-ray does not lie.
But I do like when he first possesses what's his name?
Janusz.
Name?
Janusz.
Yeah, Janusz. How you see the painting from above, and the bulging head is like coming out of the painting, and that's when you start to get like that creepy feeling.
yeah. So after this encounter at the museum, Dana gets Oscar ready for a bath when all of a sudden this pink slime starts oozing out of the faucet.
The pink tongue.
Mm.
And the pink tongue and tries to grab the tub comes alive and tries to grab Dana and Oscar, but they run off to Peter's apartment.
Darn Pepto.
It really does kind of look like it, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Well, and later,
I don't know. I think it kind of looked like mystery meat to me.
Later when it's all over the museum, it kind of looks like cotton candy. So
Mhm.
I was thinking more like a giant Jello mold. Anyway, so while Dana and Oscar are staying at Peter's, the Ghostbusters go to the museum to investigate the Vigo painting. This is where so Peter goes to take pictures of the painting, And while Ray just stares at the painting, you can tell he's like almost mesmerized by it.
Mm-hmm.
And Giannis tries to shoo away the Ghostbusters, but is of course unsuccessful.
If I remember correctly, there was a red glint in Vigo's eyes to kind of give you that whole "you're mine."
Yeah, he kind of makes some sort of connection with Ray in that scene, which does come into play in
foreshadowing.
Oh yeah, foreshadowing it.
So they take the photo. The Ghostbusters take Ray and Egon take the photos to get the photos developed, but some supernatural entity, some ghosts, lock them in the dark room and set all the photos on fire.
As you should.
But before they go up in flames, they spot the river of slime behind Vigo. They spot the river of slime right behind Vigo.
Mm-hmm.
So after Winston breaks in and puts out this fire, Peter and Dana are going out on a date to try and with Peter's intent to try and win Dana back, while the rest of the Ghostbusters go into the subway to track down the river of slime.
And that's when they have an interesting moment. I like this whole ghost train thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're exploring the abandoned subway tunnels. They shout out and get nothing but echoes until Winston says hello.
Winston.
Yes, the voice says back, Winston. And
that's pretty funny. It's like, why him?
Heads. And then
that ghost train was from the old New York central city of Albany. Apparently, an accident that derailed in 1920, killing over 100 people.
I'm just thinking back to Invincible and that train accident. Sure. Yeah.
But then they
maybe it's that spiritual locomotive that they were talking about in the first one, and Casey Kasem was talking about.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Spiritual locomotive used to run by our house when we were kids.
Actually, no, it wasn't Casey Kasem who said it. It was Roger Grimsby or something.
It was one of those radio hosts.
Yeah, someone who's actually I think it might have been just. Actually, I think it was either Roger Grimsby or Joe Franklin. But anyway, they find the river. They find the river of slime, and Winston gets pulled. Winston gets pulled in. So dragged down the tunnel. So Egon and Ray jump in after him.
And they end up outside the museum.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to go and find what is it, Venkman, to tell him their discovery.
Their discovery.
Oh, that was great. That was great going in and like you're scaring the straights.
Yeah.
I forgot that was the line.
And when they make their way to the museum, when they make their way to the museum, they realize that they are about to kill each. They're about to fight each other when they realize that the slime's negative energy is affecting them.
Yep. So they take off their clothes and they're in nothing but their skivvies.
They're long johns.
It's weird how they have like Is it really? Well, I guess it would be pretty cold, huh?
I mean, the movie. I mean, this is set. I mean, this movie is set in
Winter.
December.
And if you thought about it, they did have their base in a an old fireman's firehouse. So it's not that uncommon to think that the Ghostbusters are not unlike dressing like firemen to a certain extent, if they had like the long johns or whatnot.
So anyway, the Ghostbusters run to Peter and Dana and tell them what happened, but the cops show up and take them to Gracie Mansion to see the mayor, where they try to explain to the mayor what's
in their underwear.
Well, or as the mayor says, a pajama party.
Is this a slumber party?
Yeah, slumber party. So they try to explain to the mayor what's going on, and the mayor. And the mayor
2 minutes.
And the mayor just he basically brushes them off. Because their explanation is to go I mean, their explanation doesn't make any sense at all to the mayor, and all he gets is that everybody's got to be nice to each other, and he's just. That's not to him. That doesn't mean nothing.
That's not what New Yorkers are. You know?
I mean, treating people other people like dirt is every New Yorker's God-given right.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about New York, but from what I understand, the most unbelievable thing in this movie is that the people of New York would like come together like peacefully at the end.
I mean, we did. We've had our times, like 9/11, but eventually everything goes back to normal. Eventually everything goes back to normal. Things go back to normal, as we've seen. 9/11 or COVID or
if anyone ever remembers the Oklahoma bombings or just recently, I think it was like. Wasn't it like 25 years since Columbine? I mean, they were just. I mean, they keep remembering different like things that happened, and to me, that's kind of like people coming together and remembering things that happened.
And then the next day, we all go back to fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So then the Ghostbusters decide, since the mayor brushed them off. They decided to go to the press about this, but Hardemeyer has them committed before they can do anything. Meanwhile, Vigo sends Janosch out to grab Oscar, and we see. Then here's kind of one of the odd moments for me. Was we see Janosch as a ghost.
Well, I'm not necessarily sure whether we would call it a ghost. I just think that Vigo gave him some kind of an inner power.
Ability. Yeah.
Like a superpower.
Vigo gave him some powers, like as a vassal or something. Because
there's
that scene where he like goes to like creep on Dana and his eyes like
his eyes light up.
Yeah, they light up yellow or some shit like that. Which made me think of like Cyclops from like the X-Men.
They light up like flashlights and they have light come out of them. That's
I like the beams of light that they did with the possession and such. Yeah,
that was what kind of got to me in that. Because I mean, I've seen his eyes light up, but I've never seen eyes light up like that.
But they also look like they turned into some kind of like binoculars or some shit.
Yeah,
like night vision goggles.
Yeah.
So Dana goes to the museum to get Oscar back, but they're locked. But they all end up locked in the museum, which is then covered up in slime.
I know we kind of skated over the fact that Gene and Lewis actually babysat Oscar.
Oscar, yes.
And
yes,
the fact that they kind of got together.
Yes, this is one of the moments of the movie that did bother me. I mean, let's talk about for me.
I like their little hookup. I think they're fine. Like just let them have this. Let them have it. It's fine.
And then of course he suits up to be a Ghostbuster towards the end. So
yeah, I pretty much said my piece on Ginny and Lewis. Just to me, it feels like such a weird jump given their hit between the first movie and the cart between Janine and Egon and Janine's history in both the first movie and the cartoon.
Yeah,
I mean, end of the day, he's just not into her, honestly. So it's it's fine.
I think when they're in the museum is when the other quote is that I liked or caught my attention of Vigo. He said, "On a mountain of skulls in the castle of pain,
I sat in the throne."
Yep. What was will be, what is will be no more. And now is the season for evil. Evil. That quote caught my attention. So.
Mm-hmm. And so, meanwhile in the museum, Dana's about to grabs Oscar. Yana, and she's confronted by Janos, who informs her that he has been chosen to be the vessel of the spirit of Vigo.
Now that scene where he goes and he grabs the kid and he's dressed up like the nanny with the stroller, that creeped me out.
Yeah, with the glowing eyes.
Like I thought that was actually a different ghost. Like I never recognized that it was Janusz.
Yeah, it has his face on it.
I didn't recognize that it was him either, but I did like the effect of the extended arm.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool. I thought that was a neat effect. It just shot out at him and grabbed him, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Mm-hmm. Dana is not impressed with what Janos has to say, and tries to make off with Oscar, but Oscar is pulled back to his little like pedestal in front of Vigo's in front of the Vigo painting. Meanwhile, the slime starts bubbling up to the streets. And once again, there's havoc all over, ghostly havoc all over New York, including Midnight Movie being a midnight movie, a ghost giant this Rancor looking ghost terrorizing Washington Square Park. A woman's mink coat comes alive.
Oh, that reminds me of our Spandex Heroes episode, doesn't it, Brandon?
Yeah.
The thing with the mink coat is like so crazy. Like it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that was one of the good.
I like how it just runs down the sidewalk.
That was like one of the best. That was like one of the best looking special effects in the movie, and actually that part was originally written for the first movie.
It is funny that the first movie they put him in jail. Second movie they get him locked up in an institution.
Yep, with
Brian Dole Murray. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, when the mayor says, "I want the Ghostbusters,"
Actually,
they are kind of unavailable.
Before that, though, we have a couple more supernatural incidents. A park bench chasing some people. A dinosaur skeleton at the Museum of the Natural History comes alive.
Oh yeah.
And then the arrival of the Titanic.
Teaches
that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. That was a fun touch. That's my favorite thing, I think.
The Titanic.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
So in the mayor's office, they're trying to get they've got all these they're swamped. from all the supernatural activity overnight. So the mayor the mayor tells Hardemeyer that he spent an hour the night before talking to the late Fiorello LaGuardia, who up to that point had been dead for 40 years, and demands the Ghostbusters be called.
Yep.
He's like, sir, I kind of can't do that. I kind of
have
put them in a
committed.
mental.
You what? And he gets like physically like threatening with the guy. It's
Which is
like,
funny. And the mayor is like so small compared to Hardemeyer.
You have 2 seconds to get out of here. You are fired.
And just as he kicks Hardemeyer out, there's an eclipse, which causes the whole city to go dark.
And there's this pink smoke that seems to rise over the where the museum is located.
Yep, but actually, although I'm just going to point out right now that this scene they kind of got the geography a little messed up, because it makes it look like the mayor's office is like overlooking Central Park, when in real life, New York City Hall is all the way downtown, while Central Park is more uptown.
Okay,
it's just one of those little nitpicks. It's just one of those nitpicks I have. Geographical nitpicks I have.
Location.
Yep.
Mishaps. I would have to say on that point, but after this is
the Ghostbusters are freed, and at first they try to use their proton packs to break it to cut through, but to no avail.
The slime stuff hardens pretty good.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it looks like a giant Jello mold, but it's like, oh god, it's.
In fact, they actually say that. Oh my god, it looks like a giant Jello mold.
I hate Jello.
But ultimately, they end up going and taking their positive spray of slime, because evidently they've changed. They've
you can charge
converted.
You can charge the mood slime, yeah. So they have positively charged slime.
In these guns, so they end up taking it to
the Statue of Liberty
and spraying the fuck out of the inside.
And actually, no, but right before that, and I have said, okay, so I visited the Statue of Liberty a couple times, and I have said this actually when I was there. It's like, it makes you wonder, what doesn't it? Wonder what? Whether she's naked under that toga. She is French, you know.
Everyone just looks at him like, what are you even talking about?
I loved this part as a kid, because I loved the idea of taking one of those controllers. And I used to have one of those controllers.
The NES Advantage controller.
Like that. I used to have one of those, and I loved it as when I would play as a kid. And just the thought of being able to control the Statue of Liberty like a giant RC car. Well, that was just a cool thing.
And not only that, when they have her walking through New York City, her dress actually waves like it's an actual real dress on her.
Yes.
So to me, it makes her look all the more real, like she is walking. She has really come alive.
Yep. And accidentally steps over a cop. Accidentally steps over a cop car.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Lewis suits up and puts on a proton pack, and gets a bus ride from Slimer to the museum. Gets a bus ride to the museum from Slimer.
I like how he's like a little hesitant, but he's like, "Well, all right, okay."
I didn't realize that you got your license.
Earlier in the movie, Slimer had eaten Lewis's lunch and frightened Lewis away.
Oh, you again?
It's like after he gets Janine, he's like, "I'm confident now."
So the Ghostbusters make their way to the museum with the Statue of Liberty, and break in through the roof.
Which is such a cool moment. I mean, they definitely build it up to that point when suddenly they realize, oh shit, looking up.
Yep. And so Janosch tells them who they're dealing with.
He is Vigo.
Oh,
Slime him.
You were like the buzzing of flies to him. And so the Ghostbusters hose down Janosch, incapacitating him.
Mm-hmm.
But then they find that Vigo has stepped out of the painting and is now walking among them.
And he's walking towards Oscar.
So they try to take him out with the proton packs, but Vigo ends up using his powers to paralyze them.
Yeah, he just throws the proton beams off too. Like they kind of, you can tell like they're doing something to him, but it doesn't really last. So I like how one thing I like about how the Ghostbusters ghosts work is that there are like different classes and tiers of entities, and like Vigo is apparently one of the higher end ghosts.
Oh yeah, he's definitely more of a living person with all this prophecy of having to be reborn on this particular night at this particular time. The slime has basically like strengthened him, but he needs a host in order to become
fully incarnate.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like the second coming of Christ, except in Vigo mentality.
I feel like they were trying to do like an Antichrist thing, but they couldn't actually use those words. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Very much could have been. But point of fact being, he was gonna once he got into a host, or at least found a child to go into, he was gonna rule the world, basically. So there's always a world domination factor with these kind of creeps.
Oh yeah.
I will rule the world.
So Peter, being his snarky self, tries to distract Vigo with his snark, which just ends up backfiring on them even more. But then outside the crowd starts singing. It's after midnight. The crowd starts singing. Oh God,
the New Year's song, Auld Lang Syne.
Yeah. Which starts to weaken Vigo's powers. So the Ghostbusters, which allows the Ghostbusters to break free, the Ghostbusters and Dana to break free. And but then they're about to take Vigo out finally, but Ray just stands there.
And I get the sense that this particular movie could have been like a Christmas movie at one point. Because
I watch this movie every New Year's Eve.
It happens very
okay,
close
so
to
it's a New Year's
Christmas,
Eve. So it's more of a New Year's Eve movie, you think?
Oh, it is.
Almost definitely.
It's set on New Year's Eve. I mean, I usually watch it back to back with Trading Places.
Well, yeah, but especially since earlier we had that guy on his talk show saying it was going to be the end of the world on Christmas Eve. Well,
on New Year's Eve.
I guess he was kind of more prophetic than the other lady.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the Ghostbusters try to tell Ray to move it, step aside so they can blast Vigo.
We'd like to shoot the monster, Ray. Could you step aside?
Ray. But it turns out Vigo has possessed Ray.
Yeah.
Which when they decided to blast him anyway.
saying that was the kind of almost anticlimactic, but it worked well. It's,
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
yeah, I mean, maybe it would have been a little too much of a carbon copy of the original if they had like, let's say they blasted Vigo and they start sliming Vigo and like the slime outside the museum, like, let's say explodes everywhere and slimes the whole crowd.
I know Tammy said that she likes that effect of seeing the model from afar, right, Tammy?
Yeah.
But yeah, this time around, the slime just breaks away. Meanwhile, while the Ghostbusters, while Peter, Egon, and Winston are blasting at Vigo, Lewis is outside blasting at the pink slime shell. So after defeating Vigo and the slime breaking away, Janosch wakes up. The Ghostbusters pick up, help ray off his slime covered feet, while Janosch wakes up wondering why he is dripping with goo.
Why am I dripping with goo? He says it so strangely.
Johnny, where in the hell are you from? The Upper West Side?
Yep.
He speaks to me like Chekhov from Star Trek.
And the positively charged slime does the opposite of what it does when they fall into it, because the negative one, they're fighting each other. But with the positive one, there's such like, I love you.
Yeah.
But then they notice that they find that there was a painting under the painting of Vigo.
That's right. Ray said, "I love you, man," and he's like, "I love you back." Winston finds that there's a painting under the painting of Vigo. They're trying to figure out what it is, or who did it. And we see that it's the Ghostbusters, or at least earlier ancestors of the Ghostbusters, and Oscar. And then cue the Ghostbusters theme. The Ghostbusters and Dana come outside to a cheering crowd. And we flash forward to the Statue of Liberty is back on its pedestal, and the Ghostbusters get a key to the city. Roll credits. Mm-hmm.
So, any additional thoughts, or any other thoughts?
Yeah, not that I know of. I mean, I relatively like this movie specifically because of the fact that New York City actually saved itself, and I think I said it before, but I have to say it again. I really think this is a movie about the people for the people, especially of New York City.
Absolutely. And so what do we end? Anyone else?
This is just a good kind of Ghostbusters adventure movie, I think. So I'm always really happy to see it.
I do think that people give this movie more flack than it deserves, but
definitely
agreed.
Then again, I wouldn't have, because no doubt, I would have liked to have seen somebody who hadn't seen this until adulthood, and then seen their opinion of it.
I feel like anybody who sees this movie the first time as an adult is probably not going to be as big a fan of it as if they saw it when they were a kid. I think it's just
like it's a repeat of our National Lampoon's episode, which would be, I don't know. I thought it was a terrible movie because I saw it first time.
or something like let's say like Home Alone or Hook or The Goonies, where the younger you are when you saw it, the more likely you are. The older you are when you first see it for the first time, the less likely you are to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, again, I'll point out I was probably no more than 12 or 13 when I saw this for the first time, probably younger than that. But like I said, there were a lot of factors I think on why it didn't do it for me then.
I think
So
also
I kind of came to it fresh this time, and it definitely improved the ranking considerably. Yeah.
Yeah, I also I think one thing that didn't help in its favor was that it came out at the time that it came out, it was coming out in the middle of a very packed summer.
Yeah.
Considering this is the same summer that they were also going up against Batman, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Lethal Weapon 2, The Abyss, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
It wasn't this like the week before Batman?
Yeah, it came out just a week before Batman.
Oh, that's
And then of course,
so people were really looking forward for Batman when they were coming to seeing this movie. So
yeah, I mean,
wasn't Batman like the biggest movie of that year?
Well, you also had
Indiana
Jones Last Crusade. Yeah,
I think but with by the time this one came out, like the novelty had kind of worn a bit, whereas Batman was fresh and new, and Indiana Jones, is an even bigger franchise than Ghostbusters. So.
Yeah, and that was more fully a part of my childhood. Even though I did not care for Temple as a child, I had to grow to like that one. Raiders was just a big thing. But honestly, there's one movie that I can think of that I believe came out the same summer that I did see in theaters. I'm going to try and double check here real quick. But I believe that was the same summer as well that All Dogs Go to Heaven came out.
All Dogs Go to Heaven. That was 1980.
Yep, that was 89.
But wait, it came out during the holidays.
Oh, okay. So it might have been a little later, but they so it wouldn't have necessarily been an immediate impact. But I did not go to a lot of movies as a child, and I know that we went to All Dogs Go to Heaven, but I think that was probably only the third or fourth movie I went to in theaters. We would not have rushed out to see Ghostbusters. I know we did not see that until it was on home video. So I don't know. It's like I said before on our discussion of Dick Tracy. I think that was the first live action film I saw in theaters.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was the very first? I'm just curious. What was the very first movie you saw in a theater?
Transformers the movie.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's not bad.
At least I'm pretty sure of that. I think it was Transformers.
The animated.
Yeah,
I would imagine the animated because that would have been I'd have been a little bit late to go see the live action one.
And I'm pretty sure.
A little early to see the live action one.
I'm pretty sure prior to All Dogs Go to Heaven, I had gone to see The Land Before Time. That might have been it. So, yeah, at this point, I had gone to see very few. So, this was definitely a home video watch. I can't remember when, though. We'd probably seen Last Crusade and Batman multiple times before we got around to this, if I had to guess.
I would have to say that this I've seen. If anything, TNT used to run, or the USA Network used to run these movies in full circle, and I think it was even on Bravo for movies Men at Night. You know,
yeah, I remember Comedy Central playing this one a lot back in the 90s.
So I'd have to say that these were in kind rotation over the years. So I've seen them on marathons at least several times. So that's why when I did pick up the movies, I maybe watched them on DVD maybe 3 times, but I watched them on TV definitely more in syncopation.
Right.
But what did we all think about production?
Yeah, like music, special effects.
Production was pretty good. I think they did just as well as the previous film.
In
some cases improved. some cases I thought they were a little bit less so, but not that
Yeah.
much.
But yeah, I think overall, yeah, some ghosts like the Scoleri brothers did look relatively more cartoonish compared to the first movie. But like the Statue of Liberty, I think that was really well done. As well as like I think the makeup on Vigo when he's like getting sucked back into the painting and starts looking more demonic.
Oh yeah,
I do think the music soundtrack was definitely less impressive than
I
the first
agree.
one.
Still very good though. It was still
I think.
a good
Well, I
soundtrack.
think the score itself was kind of underwhelming compared to Elmer Bernstein's, but the music, the songs on the soundtrack themselves, like you had Bobby Brown, Run DMC.
Oh yeah.
That's right. There were the several early raps that of Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters, and you're just like in the Turtles movies. I mean,
it was that time of like when hip hop was really starting to break out into the mainstream.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say that this movie, if not that the R&B was very likable, at least they were starting to get more mainstream in especially for a New York movie like this.
Even though ironically, Bobby Brown and New Edition were from Boston.
True. But I do still think that it has a presence.
But I do think Bobby Brown's On Our Own was a great great track to end the movie with.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed the Run DMC's remix of the theme song.
Okay. What about favorite scenes, everyone?
Yeah, I mean, for me, much like the first movie, this one has a lot of like great little moments that it's hard to pin down just one scene.
Exactly.
But I would definitely say for me, like
it's Vigo
clear in the show. Yeah, yes, Janos. He steals every scene he's in.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Everything you are doing is wrong. You know, like it's like I said in the group chat. It's like that is such a great pep talk for your employees. You know? So I like that. And yes, the part where Egon talks about taking the puppy away from the little girl. I have to love that.
The fact that that whole scene is kind of funny because he's watching the interactions of a couple that is just getting more and more mad at each other.
Oh yeah.
And
it was the standard situation of they're told, what was it supposed to be, marriage counseling or something?
They were told
and
that
they were supposed to, and they had to wait, and then they were told they needed to wait a little longer, and it was just like, oh man. Talk about trolling people. It's
I'm all for
Remember, he kept increasing the heat in the room too.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I'm all for the Statue of Liberty scene. That's just
really
favorite, perennial favorite.
I like the moment where Bill Murray flops down on the bed and tells her that hey, this is my room, or the moment that he walked into the apartment is like, she cleaned.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But yeah, the scene where he's on the bed, he's like, well, I can either sleep on my side like this, but then I got your hair stuck in my mouth.
Yeah,
that's a great little moment.
Well, yeah, when he tries to explain to her that there were different levels of freshness for the clothing, yes.
Or how he tells Oscar that he's got some Lori Antonelli tapes he can watch while they're out.
Good times.
Just little moments like that. And to me personally, I like any moment that he has with Oscar, but I do think that Janos was a character. What about you, Tammy? What if there was a favorite scene? What could you take from this?
Well, I like the Statue of Liberty one, of course, because that's a big one. Everybody, I think, probably likes that one. But I like seeing when Vio is coming out of the painting. I think that was pretty neat. And when he first starts walking around,
Oh yeah, and it's all blurry.
yeah. So that one I liked, and like you said, anything with Giannis is just he makes you laugh because he has that accent and it's just like what? What did you say? So anything he says sounds amusing, and even if it's supposed to be serious.
All right, and what about you? What about you? Okay, so what about you? What about you, Dustin?
I think I like the trial the most when they like get back into action.
Okay.
That's such a cool scene, and it's what I remember most about this movie.
It is a pretty cool moment.
And what about you? And what about you, Brandon? Favorites?
As I say, Statue of Liberty, definitely.
All right, that's a get. And Jake, yeah. Okay, I think that's everybody.
Yeah.
I think we're just tired.
Right.
Well, why don't we? I think that's all the time that we have for today, folks. So why don't we go around and tell you all who we are and what we do? So, Dustin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I'm a horror collector living here in Milwaukee. I have a YouTube channel for showing off things that I find all over the place. The Crypt of Horrors. I also have an Instagram, the Crypt of Horrors. I'm going to try to start using them a little bit more lately. I have several videos shot that just need to go live. So I have no idea who, but somebody's been going to my channel, and it seems like somebody's been going to my channel and just disliking all my videos. So, like, I get in arguments on Twitter, and there is a link to my YouTube, so I think that's what people do.
Hey, likes and dislikes, it translates to the same thing for the algorithm, so.
Still, it annoys me. But, yeah, go give my channel a try if that's the kind of thing you like. Yeah. Oh, and you can find me on Twitter at DrCryptaxis, DER Cryptaxis. Okay. I wanted Cryptaxis, but that's been taken by some account that's 3 years old, has never tweeted, and is just completely inactive. Some Minecraft idiot. Bastard.
Alrighty. How about you, Brandon? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
SeptumSin, a SeptumSin versus the world. We love physical media on our page. We have an upcoming award show this Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've got the premiere all set up. I'm gonna put out the links probably as early as tomorrow, but so keep an eye out for those. But we did a lot of work for this show, so look forward to watching it. Hopefully, several of us will be there at least at varying times in the chat to just have fun and enjoy the celebration.
Okay.
I'll talk about the next movies right before you go on, though.
Sounds good. Jake, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
All right, I'm Kotobukijake. I am also a movie and media generally collector and fan here in Central Virginia. I'm co-host of SeptumSin versus the World, and yes, we are very excited about our awards show about SeptumSin versus the awards. It's going to be good times. Going to do 2020 proper, if you will. And we have other fun projects. I Honestly, I'm so tired. I don't know everything that Brandon just said. If he did not mention, we had a lovely discussion last night on those who hunt elves for our
I left it for
anime.
you.
Okay, for anime anticlimax. We had fun with that, and I believe we're looking forward to Psychopaths for next month.
Yep,
I think
Psychopaths.
so. That'll be kind of a
Fun.
fun one. Another one I haven't seen yet, and those on Els gave me an excuse to watch one I've had for a long time, so that's nice. Meanwhile, I am always at work when I'm not watching stuff. Either working, well, a lot of it on trying to work a new business that we will have our last market for the season tomorrow, at least at one venue, and I'm sad, but it's supposed to be a gorgeous day. Yay, we could go out with a bang, I hope. And yeah, so that's all I have tonight.
Okay. How about you, Forrest?
All right. My name's Forrest Bennett. I am an independent film producer based in Long Island, New York. I'm also a movie and comic book enthusiast. Actually, I'm also actually this week I'm in a music video for a local group here based here in New York called Theophobia. Their song is called Love of Ages, and the music video just dropped yesterday morning. You can see it on AM New York. Again, that's Theophobia, Love of Ages. I'm in that video. Yeah, I've always got something going on.
Okay. Very cool. And Tammy, did you want me to introduce you, or did you want to introduce yourself?
I can introduce myself.
Okay.
I am Tamara Strand. I basically David's wife, if you may say. After 13 and a half years, I would think so. I do my best to support him in all of his endeavors because he really enjoys doing the podcast and all of his movies and meeting all the people he meets. My things are I have a 1972 Grand Prix that I enjoy taking to the car shows and seeing all the other cars and having everybody to come and look at mine. And then for collections, I do some of my own collecting of movies. It's different than David's, and otherwise it's music. Like Led Zeppelin is my favorite band, and I have quite a collection of stuff. So, and no work right now because I'm still recuperating from some medical issues. So, other than that, that's about it.
Alrighty. And Brandon, if you wanted to tell us about the next movie.
So we have finished our little birthday month, and then we're finally going into the witching month of October.
Ooh.
So we have some amazing stuff here. So I can finally read out our lineup. We had some really cool ones. On the 26th, Forrest is going to be hosting us for the original Universal Pictures movie Frankenstein.
For its 90th,
very good.
90th anniversary this year.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So
on the 90th on that one, I'll be your backup on that one, Forrest.
All right.
Okay.
On the 19th, we're going to be celebrating Dane's birthday with two movies. On the pre-show with on Delusions of Grandeur will be Bram Stoker's Dracula. And the show on Inside Movies Galore will be
Tammy's excited
Highway.
about that. Tammy is excited about the Bram Stokers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Arguably better than the book, in my opinion.
I have the annotated one too. So.
Right.
On the 12th, we'll be coordinating. I gave up my hosting to Dane, though I'll back up because it'll go along with his Oztober because we're going to be covering Return to Oz. And then finally, next week, Jacob is going to be taking over the hosting duties as we cover a little rendition of Alice in Wonderland, simply named Alice.
Said the White Rabbit.
Indeed.
Can I say one
yes.
more thing, you guys? I know I haven't done this as much as you have, but I appreciate you letting me come on. So it was interesting. I know I didn't say a whole lot, but I've never done anything like this before. So
I had a
nice.
hard time convincing her, but I think we can make her welcome in the next few episodes. I know that her audio hasn't been the greatest. She's just starting out. I gave her my old headphones, thinking that they were going to be okay. But so if the audio wasn't great on her end, she apologizes. But she really almost backed out of this because of live comments. So let's keep those to ourselves, at least until afterwards.
It's always fun to have new folks on and get new ideas.
You did good.
I hope you'll invite me back again.
Mm-hmm.
Because I definitely wanted to be involved in the Bram Stoker's Dracula and Frankenstein. See, I like those movies. I like the old movies.
Mm-hmm. That's like, Brandon, didn't you say there was a brand new collection coming out, like all the old?
Yeah, there's a 4K of the original Universal
I may have
Monster
to get
ones
that
coming out.
actually. I'd be curious to see what that looks like in 4K.
Oh, bring us home, Dave. Bring us home.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and my name is David Streggy. I am one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore. As you well know, I have brought us along on a film journey that continues to keep our time and almost kind of like our therapy session here, kind of like a cool down, from the days of the stressful world. So I hope that you enjoy these discussions with me as I do every single one, even if we say things we dislike to each other. Hopefully you continue to come back, and hopefully you as an audience continues to come back, because we have so much more exciting films that we just love to talk about. And even if we dislike these films, at least we give them a chance and a try, and we give our best effort to at least seeing the best in what we see. So in any case, who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
I was waiting for somebody to say He-Man.
Somebody else.